Hello, my name is Claudia Tornquist. I'm the president and CEO of Kodiak Copper. Kodiak is an exploration company focused on copper exploration in North America. And our main project is a project called MPD in southern British Columbia, where we made a discovery not long ago and are now drilling with lots more results to come.
Claudia, good to see you. Recent discovery made, money in the bank. Feels like people should be investing in you, but I'm looking at the share price. It's way off from when we spoke, 93 cents last time, 57 cents today. What's going on?
Well, I think it's the general market. If you look at other junior mining companies, they are no different. Everybody really suffered over the summer. The market is terrible. But we are in a good situation. We are financed. That is the most important thing in markets like that. We have 10 million in the treasury. We financed in spring, just before the market took a turn for the worse. So we are now financed and executing a big drill program, 25,000 meters, and are fully financed for it. Also well financed into next year, where we have a similarly sized program planned. And so, lots of results to come and potentially more discoveries. That's really what Kodiak is about at this time.
Okay, but 30 million market cap, 32 million market cap company, you keep putting out these, good grades, really good grades over big intervals as well, but you're not getting the credit for it. Is there a point at which you think, well, what's the point here?
Well, it's just a cyclical market. That's what commodities are. And there are times where the market is downbeat, investors are risk off and just not investing, where arguably, to your contrarian theme, the best time is to invest, because that's where really you can find great opportunities, companies where the share price is down, but that's fundamentally a good business with good management, and that's a real opportunity then. And I would argue that Kodiak at this time, we have a market cap that's approximately 3 times our cash that we have in the treasury, and our share price is at levels that it was almost levels before the discovery. To me, that looks like a buying opportunity. And if you look at our insider buying, you will see that I bought a lot, Chris Taylor bought, other insiders bought. We certainly think there is opportunity. And you just have to be patient. And we're fortunate to be in a position to be financed and to be able to weather the storm in the poor market and hopefully come out with an advantage as and when the market turns.
Okay, right. So for you guys as the insiders, you've got a sense of what's going on there, and that you're obviously encouraged by that. But for me, I'm just a poor retail investor. I'm looking into this story along with lots of other stories, and I'm trying to work at the point of differentiation between the white noise that they're putting out in the market versus what you're saying. So I get the cash components, and in that sense, you're in control. So why is the way that you're intending on spending the money the best way to spend that money in terms of trying to get credit for what you're doing?
Well, Kodiak at this time is at a very sort of pivotal, very exciting point in our exploration program, as we are shifting our focus from the Gate Zone, where we made the discovery, to other targets with the aim to replicate the success that we had at Gate. Because what we think and what our data tells us is that the MPD project has multiple porphyry centers. It's a multicentric system, just like Copper Mountain, the mine next door, or many other porphyries for that matter. That's very typical. And we know there are other porphyry centers there from the historic drilling, where there is already near-surface, shallow, lower-grade mineralization. And essentially what we are doing now is exactly the same as what we did at Gate. We are looking for the high-grade porphyry center, the high-grade zone that is associated with the lower-grade mineralization that we have already at targets like Dillard, Man, or in the southern part of our property X. And I think we have a very good chance to make one or several further discoveries, and that's of course a very exciting time.
Right. Okay. So the Gate Zone discovery, could it stand on its own? I mean, you need to go and find more. You believe that you can go and find more gate zones, as it were. But if you didn't, does it stand on its own?
That's a good question, and one I get asked quite often. Will we define a resource at gate, and is it big enough? And it's really, at this point, a strategic choice for the company. Are we going for size, testing other targets, trying to make more discoveries, or are we narrowing down and defining a resource already? And we believe the way we can create value for our shareholders at this time is to find another gate, 1 or 2 or 3, and make the project really big. That's, I think, what the potential is and what makes MPD really attractive. And that's why at this time we are not working on a resource yet. Now, to your question, is gate big enough? It's a good one, and at this time we can only speculate because obviously we don't have a resource. And looking at the dimensions, we drilled mineralization, high-grade mineralization over 1 kilometer north-south, 350 meters across and down to 900 meters. So we see definitely some nice size here, and that I think bodes well. And I think my gut feel would definitely be that we have something here already. Is it already huge? Probably not. But it's not small either, and it definitely has potential. But as I said, our strategy is to go for real size. That's why we are now testing Dillard, which is a target that's 3 times bigger than Gate, actually. So I'm very excited about that one. Then we have Man, then we have Axe, and then we have numerous other targets that have come out of our surface sampling work. So we're not short of targets at all. And we'll work our way through those over the next couple of months and next year. And that should be very exciting.
So that's quite an interesting strategy. Obviously, you kind of leave a little bit of mystery there by kind of walking away from Gate and then moving on to the next thing, because it could be massive, but we're not going to close it off by continuing to drill it. We're going to hone in on more of these targets and sort of see what we can do as a district. $10 million isn't going to do that for you, but it's certainly enough. I think you talked about 25,000 additional meters this year. I mean, sorry, how much more drilling have you got to do?
Well, this year we are already a long way through our project. We had a couple of weeks ago an exploration update. At that time, we had 21,000 meters approximately of our plan 25. So we're further down the road now. And by the end of the year, we'll complete our 25,000 meters. And next year, similar size program planned.
Wow. Okay. So a lot. But how quick is that data coming through into the marketplace? And quite frankly, in this market, do you want to rush that?
Well, we have, I think, 9 holes so far of 30 plus that we have drilled. So the bulk of our exploration from this year, the results are yet to come. And then obviously we'll continue into next year. And do we want the results to come? Yes, of course, because there could be a discovery. And even in a poor market, I think a discovery still gets rewarded and generates excitement. And that's what we're working on, the next Gate zone, replicating what we did at Gate and come up with more or several discoveries.
Right. What's your expectation with what's in the context of what's going on in the marketplace, right? Because copper's had a good year because it's come off a bit in terms of price. The equity's not getting that love and reward, but ultimately the thematic still holds strong. What indications are you getting from either institutional or financial groups in terms of interest, in terms of their belief in the copper thematic? I mean, somebody's got to give here at some point. What's your expectation? How do you manage that in terms of the timing? You've got $10 million. You can control whether that lasts 1 year or 2 years. You're in control of that. But what's the market telling you?
Well, there's definitely a lot of interest in copper. I think the long-term copper story, Green Revolution, hasn't changed at all. There are obviously short-term headwinds and lots of volatility with all the geopolitical uncertainty, but that doesn't really change the long-term story. And I was just last month at Beaver Creek, a big conference, and we had 40 plus meetings or so. So lots of investors, and there were several of them, 5, 6, 7, who said, well, look, we've booked a meeting with you specifically because we're interested in copper. We were previously only in precious metals, but we really now are looking for copper. So I think there is strong interest from investors for copper. And yeah, it's really the longest longer term mega trend. And yeah, there will be in the short term ups and downs, but that's essentially, the market. And we can weather the storm and the market, and that's the most important for Kodiak.
Yes, I'm intrigued. That's interesting. Previously precious metals, but now looking at copper, and I guess those copper and gold have always been sort of intertwined in some aspect. But do you think there's a little bit of the gold market has been so unpredictable, and silver, I guess, to a lesser degree, so unpredictable that you're seeing gold investors perhaps looking at other thematics like the battery thematic and therefore copper, nickel, etc., and having a little dabble in something that perhaps they wouldn't have before.
What I sort of hear from investors is that they are just really drawn to the fundamental story behind copper and other battery metals for that matter as well. The energy transition, green revolution, it's just such a big, I sometimes liken it to a super tanker in motion that will require lots and lots of copper and other metals as well. And that just in the medium and longer term will create a lot of demand for copper. And in copper in particular, there is not much there on the supply side. There's a supply pipeline that's depleted because there wasn't much discovery over the last decade or so. I think there was 1 year in the 90s where in 1 year more copper was discovered than in the entire last decade. So there isn't much there in terms of projects to supply that copper for all these electric vehicles. And that just makes for quite compelling economics and fundamentals. And more copper will have to be found. And that's what Kodiak is about.
So you don't think there's much competition then?
Well, there are at this time not many big copper projects that have been discovered and are in development. Can you think of many? I mean, a couple of them are there, but not any to fill a 8 million ton, 5 million ton deficit that the Goldman Sachs's, UBS's, all the various analysts and market commentators forecast for 2030, or not so much in the distance. And like Goldman Sachs, they predicted, their analysis shows 8 million tons of a deficit, and 8 million tons, that's literally dozens of new mines. A big copper mine is maybe 500,000 tons, and a smaller one, 100,000 tons per year. So to fill an 8 million ton deficit, that's a lot of new mines that are needed, and they aren't there. And that's why we are very fortunate with Kodiak to have a nice discovery, and that just bodes very well and has a lot of potential.
I think it does. I agree with you. I've gone and bought one too. Why not? If you're not in copper, you should be. Great little project you've got going on there. You've got the money to kind of move things forward. I get, and I say that's a kind of standout in this space where people are kind of struggling to raise capital, get noticed, etc. So, Claudia, thank you so much for giving us a quick update. You're kind of joining us for this contrarian investing. These are the moments, these are the times, these are the companies that you should be looking at. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.